Guys, happy Tuesday. Got a mixed open overall for the markets. I think it's good to sort of review exactly where we are with the three things that matter right now, which is the Fed, trade, and earnings. So the Fed, the key point here, helping out the world. Central banks are dovish. That's the main positive that the stock market globally has got going for it. Trade deal, we're getting increasing comments. You heard from the Commerce Minister, Mr. Zhang, over in China. Maybe China's not in any hurry. This thing could take a lot longer than people anticipated, so that's neutral to not great. And the earnings situation, okay, the banks are okay. I don't particularly like some of the comments I'm hearing from the semiconductors or some of the big industrial names. We'll review that in just a minute. Just take a look at the sectors today. Transport's up on some relief on JBHT. I'll mention that in a minute. That's a very interesting story. Consumer staples flattish. Banks on either side of positive or negative. The earnings splitting them a little bit. Semiconductors notably weak, and that's the one you want to watch. David mentioned Arrow, which is a very big electronics distributor, but also in the semiconductor space. And you can see moving some of these semiconductors down. They talked about deteriorating demand conditions, inventory correction. We have heard this before from other semiconductor companies, but this is now becoming fairly common. And these comments came out, other comments were out from other companies several months ago. We're hearing them again from some smaller companies that are happening. So if you look at the industrial economy, this is not a one-off here. We have heard this in the last week from a number of different companies out there. So BASF, this is a different space. This is the biggest chemical company in the world here. Last week, they talked about dismal numbers, blaming trade, weak industrial production numbers around the world, impacting them, the weak automotive industry. Vishay, which is another semiconductor company, that was last week, they talked about the same thing. Inventory correction and pricing pressure that Arrow was talking about. Then we saw Fastenal, which of course makes fasteners and machine equipment and tools last week. They talked about higher costs and the impact of tariffs on them. So there is a story here that is emerging about a slower global economy, particularly around the industrial space and to a certain extent the semiconductor space. Let me move on. 2 points of interest today. When was the last time you heard of a stock split? Did you see what happened to Alibaba? They announced a 1-for-8 stock split. Now, this has got to come in effect sometime in the next year, so we don't have a clear timetable. When was the last time somebody announced a stock split? So that's going to happen. They're going to split 1-for-8. And by the way, they're still thinking of raising money in Hong Kong. They may do a whole other new offering, so keep an eye on that one. Finally, just on JBHT, yesterday we were all waiting for JBHT to come out after the close, and their numbers came out initially. I just want to point out the initial number was $1.23. The estimate for the street was $1.34, $1.35. Everyone said, oh, my gosh, this is a terrible number. And the machines that scrape it came out immediately, and it dropped 4% immediately. On the read, the machines read the initial headline. Well, the machines got it wrong because when somebody actually read the numbers, they said, oh, did anybody notice there's a huge charge here for an insurance claim? And if you take out that, the number is actually 1 or 2 cents above expectations. I don't want to make too much about this, but I did feel a little bit better that in the eternal battle of man versus machine, at least last night, it's man won and machine nothing. The machines got that one wrong.